Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures.
Over the last 7 years, we have consistently released weekly episodes focusing on
obstacle course racing, running, and other adventures.
You'll hear interviews, event recaps, conversations about our sport,
quick news updates about happenings in our community.
And now, here are your hosts,
Standing on the corner,
Michael Stefano and Caitlin Ritter.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Caitlin Ritter. And Michael, how was your vacation?
Good, I'm glad it's over. It was a lot of beach. We beached every day. It was a beach. But it was fun. I got to spend a lot of time with your parents, which was nice. And I went parasailing for the first time. That'll be a video coming out. I don't think anyone's going to watch that, but that was interesting. I was afraid of heights. Not as scary as the Ferris wheel. But no, it was a pretty good vacation.
It's so interesting to me that the Ferris wheel is like a third of the height as parasailing, and that was more scary to you.
It was terrifying. It's just so slow, and I don't trust it. Let's give a shout out to the sponsors.
Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase. And Caterpie. Use code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your Caterpie purchases.
And it is almost, but not quite, the first of the month, so we're only going to shout out the $5 plus supporters.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Laura and Stephen Ritter, Hank and Arlene Stefano, Kenny West, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Nick Riker, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Brett George, Logan Nagel, Asa Cunnington, and Seth Renderknech.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for all the support. We greatly appreciate it. And to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Will Higgs.
The Podfather. Check it out over at theocrreport.com. They covered War X, which I've heard amazing things about. All I've seen so far is Jason going down the slide. It looks terrifying.
He looks like he was having fun, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That bicep vein. Damn. Give a shout out to the sponsored athletes.
Javier Escobar, Kelly Sullivan, Ryan Brizolara, and Joshua Reed.
Perfect. And we're going to get to meme of the week. I had one, but we're going to use yours because yours came from your parents. So Caitlin's family found it, which means I have to describe it. Now there's a banner. That was strange. Oh, because my phone, I put your phone on my phone and it automatically wanted to send. That must have been what happened when I was carrying both of our phones. It's like trying to airdrop something to somebody. I was freaked out. Okay, let's try this again. So it's a banner, and it says Ironman competition, and there are 5 contestants, and they are all ironing shirts and pants and various clothing, and that is their Ironman competition. Very funny, I like it.
I thought it was funny, too.
Yeah. And we didn't do a poll, so we can go right on over to quick news, starting with Noobsanity's Last Man Standing results.
Noobsanity posted, after 20 hours, Eric Rep is officially the last man standing. He set a new record for the event with 20 laps, or 60 miles and 380 obstacles. CJ Emmons put in a great effort, but came up 1 lap short and is credited with the assist from the second year in a row. Other notable performances on men's side were Paul Clark and Mike Pelzel Pocolimba, with 18 and 17 laps respectively. On the women's side, Casey Yelverton and Selena Sunderland both finished with 7 laps, while Mira Gaylord finished with 6 laps.
Yeah, very cool. And for the record, 380 obstacles. These are not easy obstacles, so very much to be commended. Congratulations to everyone that participated there. And there can only be one, but very cool. Next up, we're going to give a shout out to Robert Killian for a military promotion.
Robert Killian posted, LTC Killian, thank you to everyone who helped me get to this point in my military career. I enlisted in the Army in 1999. The values of friendship and once-in-a-lifetime experiences have me constantly reflecting on my last 25 years.
Congratulations to him. Taking a step back for exciting news and going to Tybalt Dibishire's injury. I said the name so Caitlin doesn't have to.
He?
Yep.
He posted, this is the final verdict of my knee. The worst what could have happened.
He's Belgian, so
okay.
Yeah.
The worst what could have happened. I need surgery if I ever want to do OCR again or be able to run safely in the mountains. 2 of the 4 knee ligaments are torn too badly to recover without surgery. It would take years to get back at running without surgery if I ever would be able to, and this would mean no OCR anymore for sure.
Yeah, then he continues, what happened? Well, I pulled my heel to get on the ramp. The popliteus muscle in the back of my knee That's where the pop deal is. Snapped. That's where I heard the pop sound. Since that muscle snapped, my body weight and the power I used to get up suddenly shifted to my knee ligaments. So recovery is going to take a long time. It says 4 to 6 weeks, no walking on that leg. 9 to 12 months to get back at the level he was. So let's see how this goes. So we are wishing him the best. And then Caitlin, you knew more about this news story. I think it came on the TV, and you knew a decent amount of it, but...
So Lucas McLush was a 34-year-old hiker, was rescued after 10 days stranded in Santa Cruz Mountains. And he initially set out for a 3-hour hike, but lost his way due to recent wildfires. He survived on wild berries and a limited water supply, consuming a gallon of water a day, which he collected from a waterfall using his boot.
A 3-hour hike.
Isn't that crazy, though? Could you imagine?
That's nuts. And also...
to have those survival skills?
Yeah, it doesn't look 34 in that picture, but I'm sure that's what 10 days will do to somebody.
Yes.
Also want to give a shout out to one of the first in-person interviews I've ever done, Vigilante Fitness couple, and they posted this.
Meet our official Hyrox HK Gym affiliate.
Vigilante Fitness. It says, check out their High Rocks training schedule and join them. And so their location, this might be a trek to some people. It's Suite 803B, Eastern Center, 1065 Kings Road in Taikushing. So it may not be close to a lot of people, but yeah, really cool people. They moved back over to China, I believe.
They moved back to the Asia continent?
Yes, that continent. Also wanted to give a shout out, especially since we were there where the event takes place. It's an event called Your First Mud Run, which I do think is a little presumptuous of them. It says the #1 beginner mud run of the USA, and I'd say with Rugged Maniac and Warrior Dash Gone, that's probably true. It says keep an eye on our feed for updates, and we did a post of where they have their event. I know it's like somewhere in the pier.
It's September 8th in North Wildwood, New Jersey.
Perfect. So go and check out that event if you're going to be in the area.
This is why I thought it was on the pier.
Yeah, September 8th. Okay.
Yes.
So it's 6 hours away from us, so that's a bit of a trek. But it would be good to cover that and enjoy a first-timer mud run again. Caitlin, you also found this news story as well.
Wow, so many.
I know, you've been doing well.
Oh, I love this. A petition had been started to have kids and adults TV icon Bluey as the official mascot for the 2032 Brisbane Olympic Games.
I think it's called Brisbane.
Brisbane.
That's something that Will Hicks had to deal with when a lot of Australians, a lot of Aussies weren't happy with how he was saying. I think it's Brisbane.
Did you see what the France Olympic mascot looks like?
No. For those that are new to the show, I am not a fan of the Olympics, but Caitlin is. Is it a stingray?
I don't know what it is.
It is a triangle. It is a floppy.
It's not a good mascot.
Floppy cornered. It looks like it would be friends with the bird thing from Duolingo. That's what it looks like. Those big ass eyes. Interesting. And another unfortunate news story coming to us from Anne Caroline Clifford.
She posted, "The world lost a great man this week. I'll miss sharing stories from the adventures with my Uncle Brian. Brian Dennis Clifford passed away suddenly at his home in Plainfield, New Jersey on June 24th, 2024, at the age of 79.
Yeah, so maybe send Anne some well wishes. And then wrapping up, we have some podiums coming to us from War X, which happened in Ohio.
Men 10K Elite in 3rd place, Kevin Thompson. In 2nd place, Logan Broadbent. And in 1st place, Noah Bushkar.
For sure, yep. We've had all of them on the show.
For the women's 10K Elite, in 3rd place, Vivian Tran. In 2nd place, Janine Oren. And in 1st place, Chanel Berg.
Nice. And that wraps up the quick news. There's 5 secret links down below, so go ahead and check those out. But let's get to what this episode is all about. So I wanted to give some love to Europe because OCR is doing great over there. So despite being me on my vacation, they had their European OCR Championships a few weekends ago, but we were in Connecticut covering the Gaylord Gauntlet. And then last weekend, I was in New York for Citi Field Spartan Stadium. So I interviewed Stijn Lagrand, who, if you have any awareness for European OCR, you should be pretty familiar with. He won the short, standard, and men's team event, which is a first, alongside Alyssa Petrova, who did it for the women's side this year. So we discuss so many things: survival races, his team Hang On, thoughts on the 3-band system, the rulebook, pressure he felt taking on these events, how the races themselves went, what's next for him, and much more. So let's get to that interview with Stijn.
So we'll start off with your name and where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Stijn Lagrand, and I'm from the Netherlands.
Perfect. So this is the first time having you on the show. Tell me about how you first found obstacle course racing.
Yeah, it's quite a funny story. In the Netherlands, we have obstacle racing as everyone knows it, but we also have survival running, which is slightly different. Especially if you ask a survival runner, they find it very different. But it's really a professionally organized sport. And near the school, the high school I went to, there was a school competition at one of these events. And my geography teacher was saying to me and some friends, "Hey, you guys, you should sign up." So we did, and that was I don't remember the year, probably 2014 or something. And I was still playing football at the time. And a year later, I quit. I was already running, doing pull-ups in the back garden. And my dad told me, why don't you do that one thing, that one event you did a year ago? And we started Googling. And it turns out the Hang On Club, where I'm still a member of, is located like 14 kilometers from our house or my parents' house. So I did a trial training, and 3 days later I was a member because I fell in love instantly. And from there it went quickly. I think half a year later, roughly, I already participated in the European Championships. The ball started rolling quite quickly.
That's awesome. Going back to survival running, is that almost like adventure racing? Explain how it is.
Yeah, the name sounds more exciting. Yeah, the sport is exciting, but the name implies fighting for your life, and that is really not the case. I don't know why it's called like that, but it is basically an obstacle run, only much more emphasis on obstacles rather than running.
Okay.
The format for the rest is the same. So there is an 8K format, 13 kilometers and 20 kilometers. And there is a year-round competition. There is a competition and there is a fun version. Always at the same event, so the same course, but sometimes different rules. The difference is the type of obstacles, I would say. So there are many more. They're almost exclusively made of wood and ropes. So the Tyrolean traverse and rope climbs are endless amounts of times included in these races. In the Netherlands, we are really flat, but an 8-kilometer survival running race, the winner finishes these ones usually in about 55 minutes. That tells you that you are probably climbing 20 minutes out of the race, which is of course much more than in an obstacle racing race. If there are 30 rigs, this takes less than usually half a minute per obstacle or even less. And in a survival running race, there can be, without exaggerating, 50 meters of obstacle where of course you can put a foot log, so there is a possibility to rest, but the grip endurance is a much bigger factor. But there is no explosive element, or there are no difficult grips. I would say the type of obstacle and the amount of obstacles, that is the difference.
Okay, that makes sense. Then going back to where you left off about joining Team Hang On. So how was it being accepted by them? Because they're a very well-known group. You see them, their orange shirts everywhere. How was it being accepted by them?
Yeah, that was very cool. And the funny thing, interesting thing is Hang On was originally a survival running association only. Okay. And when I joined a couple months later, some other people joined that were from an OCR background. And from then more and more OCR started happening at the club. And you know Jesse, everyone knows Jesse, and he was already also doing OCR before I joined Hang On, so it was already a thing, but it started to become more normal, especially because the European Championships, they were in the Netherlands in 2016 and 17, so a lot of people participated in there. But this whole team hang on with the orange shirts everywhere at the races. I think from 2017 onwards that started to be the thing, and yeah, it was really nice to get accepted to this club, because we are a club with 120 active members, I would say. When I joined, quite some good youth athletes. So yeah, we can train. We train with groups of 50 or something, which I think it's quite unique within OCR, and everyone quite serious. So that also made my improvement curve very steep, because I was training with a lot of people of a much higher level than me. And yeah, it was a good group community.
Yeah, it's excellent to have, because the OCR community, as we all know, is really fantastic. But to have a team like that, I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to try to emulate that in one way or the other. I know I listened to a UK podcast. They're thinking like, why are they so successful with building a team like this? So what do you think the secret is to being able to not only have that many members, but to keep that many members involved?
What I think plays a really big role in this is our founder and my trainer and coach, Erik de Heer. That is the father of Jesse also. And he is extremely passionate about the sport and about hang on. And he is able to, yeah, make everything work together. So he makes sure that, yeah, that there is really this group feeling, and that we do things as a club. So I think he is really working like a glue there. Yeah, and besides that, the people that are there, we share this interest. So I think this automatically makes you feel close to the people around you, and that also creates this feeling, and then you push each other, and that is why I think we have so many good, yeah, now elite, but before also in the age groups you were also very good, because everyone can train with a lot of people, so you are constantly being reminded that, yeah, maybe you're doing good, but your competitors right next to you, yes, and I train together, so that's why we are able to push each other to a higher level.
Yeah, constantly working on weaknesses too. That's the name of the game with the sport.
Yes, for sure.
And you guys also put on your own events too, right? Team Hang On hosts their own events.
Yes, we as one event. We have the Hang On race, which is the last weekend of November.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that is originally a survival running race. So I don't have on the top of my mind how many editions we've had already, but quite some. And since a few years, we're also including some sort of OCR version, although I think most obstacle racing athletes struggle to do well because there are still a lot of ropes and a lot of beams and everything to overcome. But we managed to get quite some international field the last few years, so it's pretty nice.
That's awesome. Going back to you too, every once in a while, well, every episode we have a quick news section where we try to highlight other updates with athletes' lives. And we talked about you. I don't remember how long ago, but how you went and got your master's degree or something, right?
Yeah, my bachelor's. I'm doing my master's.
Okay, awesome. So what are you going for for your master's?
I'm currently studying business administration, so it's quite a generic study, but with a specialization in digital business and analytics. So I'm doing a bit more data science kind of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. So another thing with European OCR is that you guys have a lot of events that Americans may not have heard of. So in addition to Team Hang On's event, what are some other like smaller scale events that are in Europe that you'd recommend?
Yeah, well, this is of course very dangerous because I also don't know all the races. What I think indeed, and this I must say, I don't know this about North America, but from the outside, it looks like you have a few big companies that provide many races, and not so many, at least what I can see from here, these one-off events. And in Europe, we have, of course, also Spartan Race, which is big, but there are a lot of small organizations indeed. So this weekend, I'm going to participate in Olympus Race in Andorra. It will be my first time, so I don't know how it will be, but it looks quite nice. And the weekend after, I'm going to Tor's Trophy in Sweden, which will also be the first time for me, but I've heard many great stories. So I think this race I can, without having been there, already recommend, especially because next year the World Championships will be hosted by Sweden.
Okay.
And FISO and the race organization of the championship, they will work together with local races in Sweden. So one of them is Thor's Trophy. So I think that is a good race. Yeah, in the Netherlands we have Strong Viking. They go around Germany and Belgium as well. So yeah, there are many options. I will for sure, if I try to list really the top, I will miss events. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so in North America we have Spartan, obviously Tough Mudder, which is owned by Spartan, and then we have Savage, which is pretty good. That's more just like the East Coast or the east side of the United States. But those are really the only big three, and the local scene is struggling immensely here. So I'm spending a lot of more time looking to Europe and seeing like what do they have over there, and it just seems really exciting to go to a different country, explore a new situation with people that speak different languages and all that. What are some of your favorite countries to visit over there?
Well, I love France. I'm now in France. I'm here quite often. I also really like Italy. For me, the more southern European countries, also to get to some mountainous areas and flee the generally not so good weather in the Netherlands. Of course, it's nice to go here. But yeah, I also really like the Alps. So that is also Italy and France, but Switzerland, Austria, I like. There's not countries that I can say I don't like here in Europe.
Yeah.
And going into what you said about that it's fun to race abroad, what we also see, because the races are so clustered and separated, that there are different styles in different parts of Europe. Yeah. So if I can put a lot of countries together, in Scandinavia, they have much heavier, not so to say carries, but they will have like a slam ball of 80 kilos, which in the rest of Europe it's unheard of. And they have a lot of walls, especially in Sweden, a lot of walls, these basic obstacles, but then so many that you have to be good in them. And in Spain, and it used to be also a lot in Poland and Czech, but I've only raced once in the Czech Republic, so don't pin me on it. But there they have crazy obstacles for the arms, like small balls with a hole in them that you have to put a peg in it and then go to the next one, but in a low rig. So all the time you are doing a one-arm pull-up, basically. So you really see, you go to a different part, and the races and the emphasis are also different, and that I think is really nice about going around.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You talked about Italy and elevation, everything. I saw that you hiked Valle d'Aosta.
Val d'Aosta, I think.
So my wife and I are finally going on our honeymoon. We plan to go to Italy. Looks like we're going to be pushing it back to December. Assuming you've been to Italy a lot, like what are some places that you would recommend, like places to go?
Okay. So, well, I really wouldn't consider myself an expert here, but I really like the northern part of Italy because I like the mountains there and the Alps. I've lived in Trento, which is a bit in the center, 20 minutes away from the European Championships.
Okay.
I've lived there for half a year, and I really like that area. But also now the Val d'Aosta, it's more towards France, so towards the west. And this is on the other side of Chamonix, which maybe you know, it's near the Mont Blanc. So it's beautiful, really, really beautiful. So yeah, if you go around, yeah, it depends. If you want to go to a city, then yeah, it's obvious. But Rome, I really thought was a nice city. And I've also done a competition once on Sardinia, a nature race, really nice event as well. And it's also that's an island, of course, but it's beautiful to go around. So you cannot really make a big mistake, I would say.
Perfect. So speaking of Italy, let's get to European OCR Championships that happened a couple weeks ago. How were you feeling going into the event?
funnily, I don't know, funnily, but very nervous. Last year in Hungary, I won the standard course, which for me was quite surprising. I knew I was in good shape, but the year before in Italy, I got 11th or 12th place. So I was hoping, for a good placement. I did a fast 10-kilometer time, and the race would be flat, but then I won. So I was feeling quite some pressure from myself going into the race in Italy. And this was made worse because I never did so much for a specific race. I am delaying my masters. I went to France. I went around. Everything was going into this event. So yeah, the more you do for it, the more important it gets, and the bigger the pressure builds up. Yeah, and I think this nervousness wasn't particularly good for my confidence. Also, knowing the course was mountainous, I wanted to run a really good race, but I didn't want to say to myself, I have to win, because I was afraid that if I would have a good race but wouldn't win, that then I wouldn't be happy. So it was a bit mixed feelings, to be honest, because I never experienced this pressure like this before. Oh yeah.
So let's talk about how the short course went on Friday. How did that race go?
Yeah, that was a very good race for me. I was in the second wave. This wave system. I think we can talk about it briefly after. But I was in the second wave, a couple minutes behind all the favorites. But also in my wave were very good athletes, and we started out with quite a steep ski hill. And here I tried to pace myself, and I was quite quickly in the lead. But I told myself I don't want to blow up. My strength would be finishing strong. But if you are in the second wave, then of course you have no clue how the first athletes are going. So I was just telling myself, push, not too much, and don't make mistakes in the obstacles. And I do the whole race like this. I was able to finish strong. I crossed the finish line. I knew I did a good race for myself. So I was happy, but I didn't know about placement. And there is a video some bystander made. It's me. I'm a little bit walking around the finish area. I give a handshake to Jesse, and I think I'm talking to Leon Kofod.
Yep.
As Mauro, the race organizer. He comes to me and he points. He says 1. And yeah, you can see on my face that I really couldn't believe it, because the short course, there were really Leon, Jean Maria. I thought they are going all out for this race, and I hope to do very well. And if I do well, I will be on the podium. But to beat them, and by quite a margin, that was never my expectation. Maybe that's why I did it so well also.
It's a great video. I'll link it down in the description below. I've watched that video a few times, and it's very satisfying. But at the same time, as you mentioned before, that the lap format, it's kind of frustrating because ideally, when you cross the finish line, you should immediately feel that sense of satisfaction. But it's that like up in the air, like, well, how did the first wave go? How did the second wave go? How long after finishing did you find out that you had won?
In this time, it was quite quick, because I don't know how long I've been walking around, but it was 2 minutes maybe.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, but in my opinion, for the short course, I understand it, because with the course, and you cannot put everyone together. But in the standard course, it was the same, and there I think it shouldn't be that you are not physically racing each other, and I think it was even Hunter McIntyre quite some years ago who was discussing the same thing, that if you make waves, then you are racing your wave.
Right.
But actually you are racing everyone. So it's never been tried, but I'm curious how it would be if we would time trial it, the short course, because it's not possible to do a mass start. It won't fit. But now I'm looking to my left and to my right, and Jesse was also saying this after the course. I was so far ahead, I thought I was gonna blow up. So I reduced the speed a bit. And in the end, I was faster. Well, for sure, if I was running next to him, he wouldn't have decreased his pace.
Right.
So what would happen if every 20 seconds they start an individual athlete? I would be curious to see, because then you are no longer paying attention to the people you see around you.
Yeah, it's just you versus the course.
Yes.
Something else that's commonly brought up about this event in particular, as well as FISO's World Championships, is the penalty ban system. So could you explain that to people in case they're unfamiliar with that?
Yeah, of course. Well, everyone knows the single band system. That is also the way it works at the, for example, Adventure World Championships. And since a few years, FISO introduced a 3-band system. So you have 3 wristbands, and at suspension obstacles, if you make a mistake, so you grab a forbidden part of the obstacle or you fall out, they cut a band. You cannot retry it. And at the end of the race, you have to do a penalty lap. And you can make 2 mistakes in a race. You have 3 bands, and you can, with every lap, get 1 band back. And you should finish with 3 bands. If you make 3 mistakes, you are disqualified. Just like if you would lose your 1 single band at Adventure World Championships. And some obstacles like balance or walls, you can try infinite amount of times.
Yeah, so that's something that what I guess first, what are your feelings on that, on the 3-band system?
Well, I don't really know why it was introduced. There is not a really good explanation for this, I think. But what it mainly resolved was good. And that was at European Championships, there would be queues because we have quite technical obstacles, and people would fall out and retry. And then there would be people retrying, and the first attempt couldn't enter. And this was very problematic, and that is not a problem anymore. Yeah, maybe this could have been resolved in a different way as well, but that it has solved. So that is a big advantage. But what I think is a big disadvantage is that it's so impactful to make a mistake now,
right,
that we become more careful. And these obstacles, we cannot try them before. So no one or not a lot of people are really doing the obstacles the best way, the also for the audience the coolest way, and for the athletes the quickest way, because making a mistake on an obstacle you never tried before, especially technical rigs, it's quite plausible. And if you make a mistake, you get a penalty that usually takes at least a minute. While if you make a mistake and you just retry it, it costs you 15 seconds perhaps. So that is the penalty, not per se the penalty loop, but the penalty for making a mistake. It's quite severe.
right.
And I am a bit mixed about this. My climbing style is not so exciting because I don't want to make a mistake. And I don't make mistakes because of that. It gives me good results. But I know that if I can just fly through it and the only consequence is walking 2 meters back and doing it again, that would be better.
Yeah. That's something that came up when I interviewed Jean-Maria Savani, is he felt like he was holding himself back. And in the end, it kind of makes the event less exciting. But at the same time, it's very impressive what you guys are able to do, knowing that you have 1 chance on this obstacle. So it kind of goes back and forth, but it is a unique style. Something that happened for this event that I think that just about everyone is aware of is that Ida, to my knowledge, was disqualified for forgetting to grab the band or something to do, like she did the penalty loop, but she didn't do the band. Do you know what that situation was?
Not particularly. I read something about it, but I was hiking when this came up, so I didn't read all the posts. But what I think happened indeed is when you do a penalty loop, the band that is cut, you physically get it back from the marshal standing at the penalty loop. And the rule is you cross the finish line with 3 bands. So after you do a penalty loop, you get the band. And if you have to do 2, you get 2 penalty loops, you get 2 bands. And in the end, you always cross with 3. And I think that's what the problem was. Ida did 1 or 2 penalty loops. This, I don't know. And then she didn't grab or receive the bands and finished with 1 or 2 bands. Yeah, and the disqualification is it's a clear rule, and I think everyone knows it, but it is a severe consequence.
Right. Yeah.
For not grabbing, it takes 2 seconds, and it's 30 meters before the finish line. So
yeah, it's And so I have more of a problem with the rule book because it's tough with like race brain to remember all the rules of I remember last time when I was talking to Jesse, he was frustrated with like you need to start off by grabbing this obstacle, and it's just so many rules that I just want to see you athletes race. Do you wish that the rule book was more simple too? And not only that, the fact that it has to be translated in different languages and hope nothing gets lost in translation, it's got to be kind of frustrating.
Yes, we've been with Hang On because we are with many. We try to make a strong voice for many years that the rule book needs to be improved. It needs to be more simple, and obstacles need to be more intuitive. It's nice we have complex obstacles, but the way you enter them and execute them properly, that should be easy. So the rule book should be easier for sure. When we normally with Hang On, we are with maybe 30 athletes going to a championships, and me, Frank, and Jesse, we are the elite team for the men. We prepare a briefing with the rulebook, and usually it's me who hosts it. I give a briefing to our team, sometimes up to 1 hour, about the course and about the rules. And it's good that we prepare, of course, but that it takes 1 hour. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's frustrating because
Yeah.
you don't want an athlete to be on the rig like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing that? And I think this happened with Yese last year too. Is like he went forwards and backwards on the rig because in volunteers when they're not trained properly too. So a simple rule book, I think by all accounts would be better for this. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was talking to the organization and to our national federation, and they are working on some kind of committee or sub board at FISO that will overlook this development. So I hope that every year it gets better because the rule book this year was really better than, for example, 2 years ago in Italy, but it still needs improvement. And hopefully now there will be more input from the people actually on the ground as it should be.
Yeah.
And that it will be even more simplistic.
Absolutely. So getting back to the races with the short course win under your belt, how are you feeling about, protecting your title for the standard course on Saturday?
Yeah, well, I was of course very happy and relieved after the short course because as I was saying, I was very nervous, and now a little bit of the pressure was relieved. My goal is and was the standard course, but I also knew, and this was a bit the safe way, that I have a gold medal now. So even if something goes wrong tomorrow, I will be happy looking back. And I think that helped a little bit to reduce the pressure, and that also makes it easier to not make mistakes, because when you make something too important, it doesn't improve your performance at one point anymore.
Right.
So heading into it, I was feeling confident that I had apparently these good legs, and I did the obstacles without mistakes. So I was ready to defend the title even in the uphills.
Were there any obstacles failed for that one too? Did you have to do any penalty loops or?
No, I didn't do any penalties.
Explain some of the what are some of your favorite obstacles on the course? I know they'd have to be explained a little bit because I don't think they have names, but
for me, I like the more technical rigs. Coming from Hang On, we practice super difficult obstacles. So a lot of times our ability far exceeds what is required in a race. So I just prefer the most hard ones. And in this race, I think there were two at the finish area, one called Venetanacci and one called the Toros low to high to low rig. Well, people that were there, they will know it. To describe it, it's a little bit difficult. But the Toros rig, you have 5 of these ball grips, small balls, and then a beam at a diagonal angle with grips on them. Then you have some UFOs, basically, that they have. You can put your fingers inside them. Here my English is also not helping.
You're doing great.
Yeah. And then the same diagonal beam only facing downwards with proper climbing holds, and then these balls again.
Oh, wow.
So it's a longer rig. You have they're quite good grips, but a little bit more difficult grips. And it is a low rig at the beginning and at the end. So that makes it challenging, and this I like. For me, it can be longer, it can be harder. And there was another rig which I thought was pretty cool. It was at one of the highest points during the standard course. It was a Gibbons Packport Gibbons. So the Gibbons from we know it, right? Yes, only it was fixed, so no rope.
Gotcha.
And then a packboard, and then a Gibbons again, which I thought was a pretty cool combination. The only thing was the pegs, the sticks itself, they were from metal and quite small. They weren't so nice.
Okay.
But the idea of not just having the Gibbons or just having a backboard, but no, do it all behind each other. I like these kinds of obstacles.
That's pretty awesome. And then going into the team event on Sunday. So obviously we talked about yesterday. We're very familiar with him. Who was your other teammate for that one?
That is Frank Oosterom.
Okay.
And as the three of us, we often train together. And Frank is the person with someone else I refer to in the development of Hang On. A few months after I became a member, Frank joined the club, and he had this OCR background. And we trained together, and Frank also has quite good finish places. So he was sixth in Belgium at the World Championship standard course. Okay. And I think, or I'm sure, that this short course at the European Championships, he would have been on the podium if it wasn't for one of the silly rules we were talking about. So there was a starting hold, and as he was still standing, he grabbed a piece of rope, and then they cut the band. But he was still standing, he wasn't in it. So it seemed very unnecessary. And if you take into account the time lost, he would have had a very good time. So the three of us within Europe, I think, quite consistently in the top 10. And that's also why it's really cool to do a team race with these two great athletes together, and good friends also, I should say.
Yeah. So explain what it's like, competing against your teammates to working together for a course. How did that feel?
I think because we're good friends, we're not only using each other as training partners. So that makes it doable, because in a race, you really want to beat each other. And Jesse lost 3 seconds to me on the standard course, starting one wave behind me. So we never saw each other, which of course, particularly for him, was very frustrating. For me as well, I would have liked to battle, but I still won, and Jesse didn't. So inevitably during an individual race, you feel some tension towards each other. Right. But because we are good friends, then then the race is over, and you immediately lose this competitive feeling, which maybe you will retain it to other athletes. And that's why we are able to, then only a few hours later, we're sitting at the table and we say, okay, how are we going to approach the team race this time? And then it's just very cool that with these two good friends that are also very strong, you are able to do an event like this together. Then the team race, I think, becomes really nice. We all have to push each other in our respective elements. And I feel more adrenaline and excitement in the team race than in an individual race, I think.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of athletes. Like even Brian Atkins is very vocal on how, you get to compete against competitors all the time, but to work as a team is really unique and special about that kind of race for the sport. So explain how the team event works for you guys. I know it's all I have familiarity is adventures, where they have like the speed, strength, and technique. But it seems like a lot more cooperation in this one.
Yes, it used to be the same format, and last year it was still like this in the European Championships in Hungary. But in Belgium, in Italy 2021, and this year, the team event was all together. So this time it was, I think, 11 kilometers, so quite long even, where you run with the three of you. The rule is that there cannot be too much distance between the teammates, so you have to run together. And on normal suspension obstacles, you cannot help each other. So that part is still feeling like an individual race. But then there are obstacles that you have to overcome together. Same as in the fourth leg of the Adventure World Championship team relay. You had usually a big wall you had to go over. Only now this can be in the middle of a race, which it's quite cool. and you have to be in constant communication because you are not allowed to start a second obstacle if people are still in the first one. So you can be a little bit strategic. Oh, my legs are good. I will push you halfway up this hill. Then I continue by myself so that I can already complete the first obstacle and you can just start and you don't have to wait for me. And that's why it's nice that you are spending roughly an hour together on the course like this.
That's great too. I saw one of the other obstacles is I think it's both two teammates carry like a beam or something, and then the last one holds on to it.
Yeah, of course, from the whole race, the team obstacles I think are nicest, and that was one of them. Indeed, some beam carry where you have to carry the third teammate. There was a sled pull where the weight was a teammate, so they had to sit on the sled and the other two pull it. Yeah, I think and then these are not cooperative yet. Besides the carrying component, but especially like a big wall, I think those are very cool. That you can really gain a lot of time by working well together. There is a video. If I can find it, I will send it to you so you can put it in the notes.
Yeah.
Of the 2019 Adventure World Championships in London or near London in the team race. It was the same team, so me, Frank, and Jesse. And the final, I don't know if you were there.
No, unfortunately not.
No, so the final obstacle at the end of the race was a big wall. Yeah, it's the wall they always have. Big, slightly inverted, slightly reclined with small ropes. Only the ropes are removed. And we are battling with Team Belgium. They are maybe 40 seconds ahead. But we go on the wall so much more efficiently that in the end we still lose. So there's no happy ending here. But only by a second, I think, or half a second. So because you can see there is Mark Turner, is a British athlete. He's filming from a very cool angle, and you can see they are discussing how do we go up, and someone tries, falls down, other way around, and we practiced this at Hang On, and it was like an oiled machine and over, and that is really nice.
That's awesome. So I know you don't get to play on the obstacles or anything beforehand, but how much time did you have to prepare, like with a course map for the team event? Like when were you aware what the course would be for the team event?
Yeah, this time quite well in advance. I think everything got published at the same time. So I don't fully recollect, but I think the full obstacle list was published a few weeks in advance.
Nice. Okay.
And they included at the bottom of the document as an appendix the team obstacles.
Okay.
It's always a question if something gets changed or not, but in this case, in this race, it wasn't the case. So we knew well.
Yeah. And then how did it feel winning all three events?
Yeah, that was incredible. Of course, after the standard course, I was very happy that I could win this race in that terrain. Yeah, that was a really incredible feeling. But then immediately, I think I get some remarks, or maybe even on the morning of, like, hey, if you win this, then you guys are the favorite for the team. You can win all three. So, yeah, before the feeling of winning the standard course really settled in, there was already, okay, we have to stay focused and stay sharp because we want to do well tomorrow. And we were in Italy. Team Italy is strong. They're gonna go full gas to try to beat us. But to finish the weekend, because in the end we won with a very good race, a strong margin, and there was such a burst of energy. The final 100 meters of the course, we published it on our Instagram. You can see us, we're jumping across the line, and it was really incredible to have done so well at the championship. I could have never imagined.
And you shared that honor, I believe, with another really awesome athlete, Alyssa Petrova, I believe, also took gold for all. So that's pretty awesome.
Yes, and indeed, Alyssa did it as well. She won with the mixed team the final day.
Right.
And yeah, we are the first two athletes to accomplish this. Of course, Jonathan Alban won both individual races. He did that for the last time in 2017, so quite some years ago. He at one point stopped doing the European Championships, but he didn't do the team race. So yeah, that makes it the first, and that's always special.
Yeah, and I saw on your Instagram profile you got to put all 3 golden trophies in there too.
Yeah. Those are the fun perks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who are some other athletes in Europe that more Americans should be more familiar with? Because I think of Jack Bauer as being someone that's very knowledgeable and athletes all over the world. I'm trying to build up to that, but who are some athletes that you think other people should be more aware of?
Yeah, again, same with the races. It's I don't want to miss out on anyone, but I also look then to people that are close to me, and there is Portuguese athlete Gonçalo Prudencio, who is very strong. He wins, I think, everything in Portugal. I think his championship went a bit mediocre, but he's very strong. Same for I call him the Swiss machine from Switzerland, Luca Pezzani. He was third in Belgium at the standard course. I don't think so many people know him, but he was on the course to win it, but he touched the ground and had to do a penalty, but he could have been the champion there. So he had the legs for it at least. That says something about his level. Yeah, there are many. If you go through the list of finishers, then you can see. But at the championships, funnily enough, some people live up to the expectations, and others, I think, almost consistently, unfortunately for them, don't. Which can also be because these obstacle styles are different in Europe. So then for them, this race is so far from what they're used to that they don't do so well. And we saw the same with the North Americans when they came to England for the Adventure World Championships and in Belgium. Then it's not fair to put these expectations on people, but what you see from the races, you think, oh, they're going to dominate. And then the obstacle style and the running terrain and everything is so different that it turns out not to be this way. And the same is for these championships.
That's why I love that the championships move, right? Like different styles, different locations, different terrains, and all of that's important. I believe, was it like an eagle? Was there like a stuffed animal mascot this year? I think they had one in previous ones.
It was in Hungary, yeah. We got I think it was an eagle, yeah.
They didn't have anything for Italy this time?
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. No.
So with all of this behind you now, like the huge accomplishment, you said you have another big race coming up. What else is next for you? I also saw that you're planning to do a mini series preparing for Costa Rica. What's the plan?
Yeah, so the big goal for now on the relative short term, it's the World Championships in Costa Rica. There, I hope to become world champion, of course. But I've never even been on the podium at the World Championship in the elite or in the pro category. So it will be tough to accomplish this. And also defending World Championship, Igor Belousov, he couldn't make it to the European Championship. His visa, his Schengen visa, didn't get accepted. And he's a very strong athlete, and I think he was and is in really good shape. And he told me he will be in Costa Rica, so it's definitely no easy feat. It's easy to say I want to, but hard to do.
Yeah.
Now I first have this race in Andorra, Olympus race, and the week after Thor's Trophy in Sweden, which are very nice events to partake in. And for the fall, I don't have a clear plan yet. I'm contemplating about the sprint Spartan World Championships in Croatia, the trifecta in Greece. But to be honest, I am also thinking about that I want to have a good mental focus again for the next year. And normally the European Championships would be my first big goal, so I would be in top shape in June. But this year I participated in the Tough Mudder Infinity in Alula. With Jesse, with Luca, the Swiss machine, and with Gonçalo, the Portuguese guy. We won also in the four-man team format. But this was in February. So, this is now the second training cycle going into European, the third one going into World Championships. So I'm a bit hesitant to now already say, yes, in November, I will be in peak shape again. I a bit want to see how I return from Costa Rica and determine my goals then, because I want to be also in good shape next year. And if I burn myself out this year, that would be, of course, a shame. So maybe I I try on a challenge that will be more about, can I finish this? Can I do this? And not so much, I want to win this. But we will see. I'm on a good roll. So it's also nice to take advantage of that and go to Croatia and to Greece and to Abu Dhabi and just do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Any sponsors or people that you'd like to thank?
Well, my main sponsor and also only sponsor is Hang On, or that is the team, of course. In previous years, they helped with being able to participate in the European and World Championships. I can train there. So, a lot of gratitude going to the club and to the members of the club, because sport is more fun when you do it together.
Absolutely.
And then it's not a sponsor, but together with Frank, 2 months ago, I think we started a new Instagram channel where we will try to, different than on our personal accounts, provide an insight into how we train and how we live, because I'm studying, he's working, so it's difficult to combine. It's called That OCR Guys.
Yep.
That's also where I will document the road to Costa Rica. So if people want to follow along, you can also follow me, of course, Steinemite from the TNT song by AC/DC.
Yes. Yep.
But that OCR Guys, we try to be more active on and really show our daily lives and training.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll link those two down below. And one more time, where can people find out more about Team Hang On as well?
The Team Hang On, we have the website about the club, which I will say it, but you should link it because it's in Dutch. Stichting Survival Group Hang On. So perhaps challenging. And the race, it's called Hang On Run. These are two distinct websites and organizations.
Perfect. Well, Stijn, congratulations on what was an incredible weekend. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And thanks for having me.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Stijn. Go follow both him and That OCR Guys on Instagram and keep an eye on the European scene of the sport. It's doing much better than it is here in the United States. 4 related episodes. Okay, I'm going to have to get a little creative with this one, but episode 121 was the Mud Hen Brewing Company half marathon and 8K with elites. That was a road race that I covered, Caitlin's first ever half marathon. I'm sure there's some tears in that one, but that was something that I covered in person a long time ago, and that was where we vacationed. Following that, this is also a kind of weird one to recommend, but you'll see why at the end. But episode 182 was Bracken Crocker on podcasting, rehabilitation, shoes, and more. I recommend this one too because this was an interview I did while I was on vacation back in 2020 in the same place in Wildwood.
Tell me you don't vacation well without telling me you don't vacation.
We just found out before this that I've gone, your family goes every year. You go with them every year?
Almost every year.
And the first time I went was 2015, and then 2020, and then just this year for 2024. So, kind of crazy. And then, much more importantly to this one, episode 337, which was OCR European Championships with Yes I Did Here. That was the event last year, so that's definitely more in common with this one. Links down below, so would you kindly check those out?
Subscribe and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We are Obstacle Running Adventure and all of the podcast players. Would you believe it?
Yep. Could leave a review. More than anything, though, if you could share the show with a friend. Pretty please with sugar on top.
Yes. Follow us on social media at Obstacle Running Adventures on Facebook and Instagram. And if our posts are popping up for you, can you give us a like so we know that you're seeing them?
Yeah, what's going on? The posts have not been doing well at all. Like, all the athletes that I tag and I interviewed for City Field, like, I feel like none of them like the post. Like, it takes two taps of your finger. If you hit the heart, you only have to tap it once.
And I know I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I show you like TikToks and you're like, well, why didn't you like it?
Yeah. So social media is not doing too hot, and it's tough. Coming up next is Spartan Ultra World Championships, but there's going to be an extreme time zone issue with that, so I don't know if we'll be able to get that done for next weekend, especially since Beer Olympics, right?
That's next weekend.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm throwing my event.
Grandfather's birthday party on Saturday.
It's going to be a busy week and weekend. Or maybe I'll retroactively have someone on from War X. There's
that's a good idea.
2 names on there that I haven't heard before, so maybe I'll have them on. Or maybe something Savage. I saw a Savage news story that caught my eye too. All right, Caitlin, do you have a joke or a quote to close us out?
I've got both. My quote is from Morgan Harper Nichols. Keep trusting the process. Keep trusting that even though you do not know what lies ahead, that does not mean you have to feel directionless. You are allowed to be uncertain while also trusting that even in the uncertainty, light is pouring in, illuminating the path beneath your feet. And then my joke is, how do pigs get to the hospital?
How?
The ambulance.
Ambulance. Oh, I was trying to think of something with ambulance.
Do you want another one?
Sure.
What do you call a Spanish pig?
Le pig. Le chonk.
Porque.
No, that's...
Porque?
I went French. Porque, that's a good one. All right, well, that just about wraps it up. My name is Michael Stefanin.
And my name is Caitlin Ritter.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye!
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe to our show and write us a review on your favorite podcast app.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook and connect with us there.
Most importantly, we would appreciate it if you shared an episode with a friend so we can reach more ears.
They continue to effectively shine a light on the people in our sport, as well as the events that we are so passionate about.
Our intro song is Streaker by Straight Up, and our outro music is Iron Call by The Best.
How's it going?
It's going great. With you?
Pretty good. I'm talking to a European champion right now, so that's pretty sweet.
You're on holiday?
Yeah, so I haven't been able to take a vacation in a while, so I'm taking a week-long vacation with my wife's side of the family. Every once in a while, they go to southern New Jersey, which is like 6 hours away, and it's a very like ritzy area, so it's kind of crazy. I just went parasailing for the first time an hour before this, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so
cool.
Enjoying it. All I have for familiarity is adventures.
Listen to the Bobby Bones show. I don't know any of their jokes.